Hi everyone and welcome to Sidescrollin. I'll be your host this evening. My name is Scott. I'm one of the sort of lesser frequent members of the Sidescrolling group. You mostly catch me having a bit of a retrospective with my good friend, long friend Jamie, or just heckling him at Halo and GoldenEye. But that's not what we're here for tonight, unfortunately. We're here to give myself a go at, for the first time ever, trying my hand at making a tier list of the games I played in 2023. Surprisingly, I actually didn't play as many as I thought I had. I thought my list would be a lot bigger. It's actually a lot shorter. I think my count is only about 24 games this whole year, and not all of them were completed or beaten, but some I gave a real good go of. Um, so anyway, without further ado, let's jump into it. So first up, we have Spelunky. Now I got to play Spelunky for all of half an hour. It happened. It was actually a game Jamie himself introduced me to when I came up to visit him in the middle of the year. So it was an interesting little game. Just wandering around underground caves and just generally making things worse for yourself by digging around trying to explore and seeing how far you can sort of get through the levels. I didn't mind Spelunky, but I'm not really a roguelike fan. I actually don't really enjoy the games where I don't feel like I can make progress, where I'm having to restart them every time I play. One of my games that I used to have a go of a fair few, like Faster Than Light, that's a bit like that, where you just, each playthrough, you just start from start to you just go try and get as far as you can, and see how long you can last if you can make it all the way to the end. I'm actually not really a fan of that. I like to make progress. I like to feel like I'm making progress. I don't like permadeath. I don't like to just sit like waste my time sort of thing. Unless I am actually going to finish it. Spelunky was a nifty little game. It was a bit brutal, but then what roguelike sort of isn't. But it wasn't bad. Certainly not the worst game, but just not for me. Just not for me. So I'd probably sit Spelunky somewhere in about C. But hey, this thing's gonna probably likely evolve as I add more games to it and move things around. Um, it may retain its space at C, but it might drop down. It might even go up. Who knows? Um, next is Star Fox Adventures. Now, so I'm a bit of a retro gamer, which is why you'll see probably a few of the games are retro type, much older games. So Star Fox Adventures. So, I think most of us have tried our hand at a Star Fox game at some point or other, and this year sort of. Got back into playing my GameCube a little bit. Got the hankering to try some of the games on that, and so what I ended up doing is I got a hankering to try Star Fox Adventures again. I had played it once before, a long time ago in my sort of early 20s, but didn't remember anything. Basically did not remember anything, so I thought I'd have another go of it. So Star Fox Adventures, it's unlike the rest of the Star Fox games. Star Fox Adventures is sort of like, instead of like a rail aerial shooter like the rest of the series, it's more like a Zelda game. You control Fox, you move him about, and you're on a dinosaur planet, and you sort of, it's like a Zelda game. It's just a Zelda game with doesn't have the refinement of a Zelda game, doesn't have the legs of one, but it was certainly serviceable. It was a good adventure, one I was enjoying, got stuck into, and had a good time with it. Had a bit of trouble with it sometimes, but sometimes a little bit clunky, some of the controls, but hey, it was a damn good game, and I actually really liked it. So for this list, I think I might sit Star Fox sitting at a B. It wasn't the greatest thing. It wasn't Zelda level of RPG, but it was good, and it was a nice little detour from the usual direction that the series sort of takes. Its sequel, Star Fox Assault, is so much better, and for me personally, it was the peak of the Star Fox games, and I really wish they'd just make another one in that vein. But okay, carrying on. So Hades. Okay, now I know Jamie loves this game, and I'm a lover of Greek mythology. You'll see a couple of titles actually with that particular theme in here. But yeah, so Jamie introduced me to Hades, and Jamie's not a big roguelike person, but he gives them a go. More of a go than what I'd ever give him, really. But he really loved Hades, and he introduced me to Hades when I was up to see him. It was a game that I did enjoy it. It was certainly, I could certainly see it be sort of one of those bit of addictive games. But again, it's just and I was sort of more enjoying the story elements of it and the exchanges between the characters. I thought that was the funnest sort of part. Usually the story stuff is sometimes a bit sort of, sometimes when it's a game where it's like where you're in for like half an hour or an hour, you're just doing it to experience the game, not so much the story, if it even has a story. But Hades, from what I saw, I only played about 30 minutes to an hour of it. It was one I consider popping up on my list, but like a list to get, but I'm not quite sure yet. But I did have fun, and it was fun playing with Jamie. It was a bit of a social game. I don't know how much I'd go along with it if it was just me. It was a bit more of a social thing. I think it's the sort of game that sort of thrives in a social setting. You just sort of give each person a turn at seeing how far they can get. When they die, pass the control to someone else, sort of thing. But Hades wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I think it was definitely better than Spelunky, so I'll pop it here in B. Okay, onto Lego Jurassic World. So this is actually not the first time I've played Lego Jurassic World. I've totally completed it when it first came out, because I love the Lego games. They're one of my favorite video games. You know what you're getting with a Lego game, because they're very much incredibly similar. So you know what you're getting, but it's nice to play, experience a bit of freedom, and game in your favorite franchises, and in an endearing way, cute and endearing way. So I love the Lego games. So yeah, I decided to I actually decided to dig out Lego Jurassic World because of my son, who's just turned 3. He loves dinosaurs. So we're trying to introduce him to the idea of video games being played as a normal thing within the household. Both his mother, my fiance Sylvia and me, we both play video games, but we sort of seldom play them in front of the kids. But we're slowly sort of starting to introduce that a little bit here and there. So I decided to rip out Lego, which he likes, and dinosaurs, which he likes. So it was a win-win. And it's a good game. It's a good Lego. It's a solid. All Lego games are solid almost all of them are solid in my opinion. And they're really good. They're fun. There's plenty of things to do. If you're wanting to just do the movies, you can do that. If you're wanting to if you're wanting to, you know, like collecting things, oh, there's plenty of that in the Lego games if you've ever played any. So it's just a great little adventure of running around the park itself, entering, you know, the levels of the films, and seeing the dinosaur minifigs and the humorous ways they sort of put together Lego and the iconic scenes from the movie. They're really fun, and I love Lego games. So yeah, so well, Lego Jurassic World. I think I'd definitely pop it at potentially at A or B. I think it's going to be at the start of B. You know, like it's not the bee's knees. Like you know, I didn't remember a whole lot of it, so you know, can't obviously be that memorable. But you know, my memory's nothing to go by. But yeah, it might move up on the list a bit, perhaps. But yeah, I always enjoy a Lego game. Okay, on to Toko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival. Now, this is one of the, for those who are unfamiliar, this is one of those plentiful, very popular Japanese rhythm games. It's usually played in, originally played in arcades with a pair of sticks and a drum. And and it's got well, actually, there's like three or four titles released for the Nintendo Switch. And I bought this as a gift for my fiance, so because she loves rhythm games, and she's played one of these in the past. So this was one that I think came out this year. Pretty sure it did. I wanted to get it close to its release date for her. It's interesting. It's different to the other one that I can't remember the title of it, but there's another one. There's another two or three preceding it, but the first one that came out on the Switch, that was sort of more what we were expecting, where you could, you know, freely just pick the songs you like and just play them, whereas Rhythm Festival had a bit more of a story element to it, and yeah, we found it. We just sort of were playing to that as opposed to just, you know, the likes of like a Guitar Hero Rock Band game where you can just, you know, go in, pick a song and play. So we didn't play it for a whole lot. It was a bit of a disappointment for us in that regard. Still loads of fun. Still a good rhythm game. It's fun trying to make the hits. It's fun playing together. It's a good co-op game. So yeah, or competitive game, depending on how you want to play. But yeah, it wasn't a sort of a great game. So it was a bit not terribly great. So I'll probably stick that as a bit of a D. Hey, my first D. Okay, so wow, edit that out. Okay, so moving on to Neo 2. So Neo 2. So I loved Neo 1. Neo 1 was my first Souls-like game, like Dark Souls. It was my first Souls game, and it was it was a journey. Can I to say the absolute least? So so my experience with Neo was that I really at the time when I played it several years ago, like at least 5-6 years ago, I was really looking for a medieval fantasy, a feudal Japan fantasy type game, and Neo kept popping up in all the lists that I kept sort of finding. There wasn't a whole great deal that I could find that seemed to spark my interest, but Neo was up there, and a lot of people talked about how difficult and challenging it was, but it just looked so damn good, and I really want to try my hat on it and try my hat at it. And so I found it for like $40, and decided, okay, I'll pull the trigger. No idea what I'm getting into. Never played a Souls-like game before. So there we go. And I spent hours just trying to get through that first level, and boy, can I tell you, there was a lot of profanity and screaming in that playthrough, in every playthrough of Nioh, pretty much. It's so damn hard and difficult, and the fact that I paid $40 was sort of what actually kept me spirit. I got to the first actual boss in the game, and I was just getting trounced all the time and just couldn't see it. And there were so many times where I just felt like, you know what, don't want to play this anymore. I hate this game. And if it wasn't for the fact that I'd spent $40, because $40 is a lot of money to me, I didn't want that $40 to go waste. And obviously, I way past the can refund it stage on Steam. So I kept at it, and damn, am I thankful that I did. I persevered, beat that first boss, and the satisfaction I felt from having defeated this monstrosity, pain in the ass thing, was so great, and it spurred me on, and I kept playing, and I came across bosses that were just kicking the crap out of me for the first, like, what felt like 50 bloody deaths, but I eventually sort of persevered. I just kept going, and it's such a gloomy but beautiful looking game. Like, the designs and for the Guardians is just absolutely gorgeous. The monsters and bosses that you have to fight are just great looking. It was a fantastic time. So anyway, fast forward, years later, got a PS5, and so one of the first games I bought for myself on the PS5 was Nioh 2, more specifically the Nioh Collection. And I was super eager to jump into Nioh 2, but I knew, like Nioh 1, this thing was going to be a big time sink, a long slog of a game for me. And so I eventually did get into it and have a go, and I've only completed actually a handful of levels, but I have to say I miss Nioh 1. Nioh 2, although it was great and I really enjoyed it and I liked it, the bosses weren't as memorable. The bosses that I did fight, the few that I fought, I think the last one that I fought was this really massive snake or basilisk that's got a horn made up of all these sword blades, and that thing really put me through the ringer. It was so hard to beat. I eventually did beat it, and then I just sort of, after that, played a bit of the next level, and then just sort of stopped for a bit, taking a hiatus. The game is good. This one allows you to turn into a demon or a yokai, but I'm finding the ability to turn to a demon and then the associated powers that sort of go along with it was a bit, I think, too much for me. I like simplistic combos, simple things. I don't like to be overly complicated with controls and abilities and capabilities, because I don't even use half of them. I don't even use a quarter of them. I find something that works for me, a particular move, a couple of moves, and I just stick with them. I rinse and repeat. And that's what I did with Nioh 1, and it worked for me. And Nioh 2, it's still what I'm sticking to. And yet there's so many more things that you can do in this game, but I'm just not utilizing it, and probably why I'm getting my butt handed to me by this massive basilisk for so long. I'm just underutilizing all my capabilities, but that's the thing, it just over flooded me with them. And all the bosses so far, the first 3 or so, or few that I've fought, just weren't, they weren't memorable like the bosses in Nioh 1. Nioh 1 had some really good classic Japanese mythology, folklore type creatures, whereas this, I'm sure they're probably in there, but they aren't as memorable. They aren't as awesome looking or diverse looking. They didn't stand out for me. So for Neo, I'll probably just sit it at an A. Neo 1, it would definitely be S for me, but Neo 2, sitting in A. Okay. All right. Disney Speedstorm. Okay, what can I say about Disney Speedstorm? Okay, so, well, first of all, I should say this is a game that my fiance is playing, and she really likes, and she's really into it. But it is incredibly grindy. So it's basically a Disney, well, it's a driving racing game, not too dissimilar from Mario Kart, but boy, is it a totally different game. But yeah, it's like Mario Kart with Disney characters instead. But yeah, so my fiance is playing, and it's incredibly grindy, like really grindy, painfully, and she hates that. But she's really enjoying the game, but she hates the grind of it. So I've been helping her out with it, and unfortunately, I've probably clocked way more hours playing this than playing Neo 2. And I don't enjoy it. This game is so it's a kart racer with Disney characters, but it's like a freemium type game. So they have seasons that so you get the game and they have season, and you only get to unlock so many characters depending on what you paid for the game, really. And it's only a small number, and they've got a heap of characters. And and you unlock those, and each of these characters goes up in level, and unlock. They each have like a unique special ability. They each have a set of abilities they can pick up from like the item boxes, to use a Mario Kart term. But it's as a kart racer, it's very different to Mario Kart. Mario Kart, you usually use drifting to navigate corners. In this game, you have to drift pretty much the entire effing time you're playing this game. You've got to constantly be drifting if you're going to be competitive or win races. You pretty much got to be constantly drifting, because when you just drive straight, you slow down at a snail's pace, painfully so, and yeah, what else can I say about Speedstorm? So yeah, I have a lot of gripes with Speedstorm. I don't like it. It's all the carts are generic looking vehicles that have no real attachment. Like, they're all generic. They all look exactly the same. Similar designs. There's nothing really uniqueness. They're unique among them. Certainly not to the extent of the characters that you can play as. Like, you got Toy Story characters, Aladdin characters, just Disney, Pixar, classic Disney characters like Mickey and Donald and Daisy. And they're constantly adding more. This game has seasons, as I said, and they release seasons, and they sort of last for a couple of months, and each season brings with it a whole bunch of new characters. So there's just a whole heap of them, and and it's just just the design of it. It's very hard to navigate when you first boot up the game, and it took me weeks to actually get used to the menus because they're so convoluted and just in your face with stuff that it was just really hard to keep track of it all. So yeah, I don't really like it. Yeah, all the characters' cars are boring and uninspired. Like the character of Hades is in it, sort of a recent addition to it. But every character's car should be reflective of that character, and not just by color scheme. Like, seriously, I really wish Hades would drive his chariot from this Disney Hercules film. Like Woody or Buzz from Toy Story should be driving or riding on RC. Like, it's things like that really would have made the game, but no, they just went with generic car number 1, generic car number 2, 3, and coupled with the fact you got to constantly drift. It's got a very limited set of maps, but all the maps have different layouts to them. So they might only have like a handful of maps, but there's like 4 different tracks on the one map, which makes it really difficult to learn maps. But anyway, yeah, I really didn't like Speedstorm. Not for me, just made me really miss Mario Kart. It's, yeah, it's going in D. Okay, on to Spider-Man 2. So, if you managed to catch Jamie and my's playthrough of Spider-Man 2 or Game Boy Color, play of that, you would have heard me talk a little bit about Spider-Man 2. So, Spider-Man 2, I was eagerly awaiting this game. It was one I was super excited for to see. I knew it was coming, and I was glad I had a PlayStation 5 to play it. So yeah, I was super excited about it, and Spider-Man 2, it's I both loved aspects of it and hated other aspects of it. It was a bit of a mixed bag for me. Definitely more on the positive side than on the negative, but like I was loving the story. I loved the story. Like, I generally don't like. I love the main story of Spider-Man comics, the Amazing Spider-Man series of comics, and so anything outside of that, instantly I have sort of negative feelings towards. I'm a stickler. I'm a bit of a purist. I love Spidey, how he was originally conceived, not different interpretations or adaptations of the characters. So anyway, but I could swallow that and put that aside for the Marvel Spider-Man games on PlayStation 4 and 5. So yeah, I got to playing Spider-Man 2. Was really excited for it, and some of it is just really good. I was super into the story. It has the best. I've never been a Kraven the Hunter fan. There's so many more Spider-Man villains that I find way more compelling or interesting, and so I was very surprised. Like, when I found that Kraven was going to be in this game and he was a bit of a central figure in it, I groaned. I was like, oh, what, really? Kraven's boring and dull and just a bit of a brutish thug, and just don't care for the character so much. I like him in the fact that he's a Spider-Man villain, but he doesn't really rock my boat. But I loved Kraven in Spider-Man 2. I really loved his whole shtick, how they went about him, the voice acting, the character model. I think they turned me around. They made me a fan of this character in this game. I've been reading Spider-Man comics. I'm slowly creeping up to Kraven's Last Hunt, which is what is one of the iconic Kraven stories, so I'm excited for that now. I was sort of not dreading it, but looking forward to it, but a bit skeptical and don't know if I'd enjoy it. But after having played this, I'm hoping I can see some of this version of Kraven in that. Like, I really like this take on Kraven. Not like, I did like the take on Venom to a certain extent. I don't think it's any secret that Venom's in this game. I mean, the symbiote's on the front cover. But I didn't like the host and how they did that. I'm sorry to say, spoil if no one's played it, there's no Eddie Brock. And to me, when there's no Eddie Brock, there is no Venom. They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And, likewise, you can't really have Venom without Spidey, so I don't even know why they even bothered making that Tom Hardy movie. It just didn't make sense without Spidey. But anyway, I really enjoyed the game. And the story, I was engaged with the story. More Spider-Man story. I'm not a big Miles fan. Nothing wrong with him, I'm just not a big Miles fan or Spider-Man Peter Parker fan. Issues I had with Spider-Man 2 was more towards the fact that they just filled the game with filler content, really. There are so many things in this game that I felt just did not belong or went nowhere. And and I can totally see the reason why they did that was so that they could say, hey, look, this game has more content in it than the first game. Well, yes, it does quantity-wise, but not quality. Like, to give you if you haven't seen my little playthrough of Spider-Man 2 on Game Boy Color with Jamie, and, you know, if you don't want to hear it, tune out, because spoilers. There's missions in this game that involve Spider-Man, like, doing horticulture, you know, watering plants. There's missions where he's attacking wasps and rats with drones. There's a mission where Miles has to help some college kid ask his partner to a homecoming dance. None of that is superhero work. None of it. You don't open up a Spider-Man comic book and go, I really hope I see Spider-Man watering some plants in this. You know, that's what I'm here for. I'm not interested in him fighting supervillains or having personal dilemmas or anything like that. I really want to see some good old H2O on some plants action. And it's that shit that just shouldn't be in this game. Like, are they that hard up for ideas on how to make missions or side quests for these characters that they have to involve stupid little things like that? And the watering plants and the killing bees are sort of the mini games within this game. In the first game, the mini games were geared towards Peter's actual scientific knowledge, so they were sort of working towards his job, and his job was working on, like, robotics and figuring out circuitry and stuff like that, which better suited the character. And yes, there is an element of him doing this for his workplace in Spider-Man 2, but it just seems so bloody far-fetched, much more removed from the character. It's more, yeah, it just did seem weird. Like, it just seemed weird, and I didn't like it. And there was a lot of things that just absolutely went nowhere, like the spider bots. You know, if you collect all the spider bots, there's something like 52 of them in the game. If you get all of them, you get treated to a nice little cameo. And then that's it. Not even come across a proper villain and actually get to have a freaking fight with them or something really intriguing. No, it's just a stupid little cameo, and the game could have totally did without, and it would have been better for it. Just lots of filler that was uninteresting and just didn't really fit. But I still had a good time with it, and I would continue to play it again. So I'm popping it in A, because I did have a blast with it, because I was really liking the story of it, even though it went against my traditional story for Spider-Man and those characters. It was still a fun story. Yeah, it was fun. Just the extra stuff that was just there to purely say that they had more content in the game was just sucked. So on to the next one. So Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Now this one I was looking forward to, but skeptical as all hell. Because prior to this game coming out, my favourite Lego game, and I've played a lot of them, was always Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. It's the 6 films of the Star Wars series, and the only films I'll actually really acknowledge as being Star Wars canon, because I don't acknowledge anything Disney has done. So yeah, clearly I'm unbiased. So I was skeptical about trying this one. I was really happy and excited to play the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy and see how they did those. I had no interest in playing the sequel trilogy, as you might have guessed from my unbiasedness. But yeah, and they sort of reinvented the Lego games with this one. They made it more open world, as far as like hub area goes, and there's multiple hubs. You can fly to planets. It had a lot going for it. Like you can actually, you can get a ship and fly from planet to planet to planet, and indeed, that's what I was actually doing. So I got in my favorite ship. Unlocked my favorite ship in the game, and after I'd beaten all the story games, all the story levels, including the ones from the sequel trilogy, I decided to try and make my Lego Star Wars experience a bit more authentic. So I didn't fast travel. I just jumped from planet to planet to get where I had to go, just to experience the joy of that. And but it was a very interesting game. They totally changed up how the sort of Lego game played, and it took a while to actually get used to the new approach. I don't mind it. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the previous approach, and the new one's not too bad. I don't know if I'm happy if they stick with it, but it's it was different. It was definitely different. I loved the open worldness. I love being able to go to planet of ones I've unlocked, because that's really why I ended up playing the sequel trilogy, actually, because you can't visit a planet if you haven't been to it in the story. So there was a lot of other planets locked to me. It's very different, and I liked it, but there were a couple areas that I really didn't like. Not just the fact that it had the sequel trilogy in it, but Complete Saga beats out this game when it comes to level design. The level design in Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga was infinitely better than the level design in this game, in Skywalker Saga. It was infinitely better, so in the Complete Saga there was 6 levels to each film episode. In Skywalker Saga there's 5 levels to each film, and you actually really feel the lack of a sixth level to each of the episodes, because they're trying to cram in a whole film in less space now. And so certain scenes that should have got focus or should have got their own level are just not there, completely omitted, or they're glossed over so damn quick. Like, for instance, in Skywalker Saga, when Darth Maul is running to the ship on Tatooine and he's chasing Qui-Gon and Anakin and Obi-Wan, that's completely omitted from it. Not that it was totally integral, and you can see why they had to cut it, but it's just things like that. And the Duel of the Fates level in Skywalker Saga is so much shorter and less epic than it was in Complete Saga. So yeah, level design wise, Complete Saga just craps all over Skywalker Saga. But another thing Skywalker Saga sort of lacked, and this is where I think it really hurt the game, is that so this game prides itself on being sort of open world. You can go to various planets at your own. It's a massive hub, multiple hub worlds. You can fly to planets, hop out, go. You can fly through space, go to the planets as you please, land on them, collect all the things there, and there's a lot of things to collect in this game, and then hop in your ship again and fly off elsewhere and rinse and repeat. Which is fantastic. So what it should have, but it doesn't, and this is the first Lego game I've ever played that hasn't had the custom character maker. So every Lego game prior to this has had the custom Lego character maker. And that's been fun messing with in each of the Lego games, but they weren't really a necessity. In this game, where you've given the people the ability to hop in their own ship and fly to space and locations as they please, and so basically play the game how they would like to play it, and they cut out the custom character maker. For shame. That was a big mistake. That was horrible. And it just perplexes me as to why that, of all things for this game, was cut out. That would have made this game so much better, and yeah, and it just amazes me that that was cut out. It doesn't sound like a big thing, but when you're playing this game and you're wanting to play it your way and, you know, go through this big sort of adventure of, you know, not through the episodes but just through the main hub worlds, doing it with your own character would be so much more fun than just doing it with a standard Star Wars character. So yeah, I did really like it. I had good fun with it. But yeah, I'd probably stick it a B. The level design and the lack of custom character maker in it just really hurt it for me. Okay, moving on. So, wow. So, okay, on to Mortal Kombat 11. Okay, I've got to rein myself in a bit with this one. So, Mortal Kombat 11. So, I've been a fan of Mortal Kombat ever since I was 7 years old and played Mortal Kombat 1 on my brand new Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis is what they were called if you're in America. And it is the first game I ever beat, the original Mortal Kombat. First game I ever beat, and I've been a big fan of the series ever since. That being said, I'm actually not a fan. I haven't played Mortal Kombat 1 yet, but I think I already know what my feelings towards it are going to be. So I have not been a fan of the last couple of entries of Mortal Kombat games. So I'm talking about Mortal Kombat X, or by extension XL, and Mortal Kombat 11, or Ultimate Mortal Kombat 11. I'm not a fan of them. For several reasons. One, so one of my favourite, my depending on which day you ask me, my two favourite Mortal Kombat games of all time is Mortal Kombat 2, the original, and and Mortal Kombat 9, the first remake that came out. I can't even remember when, around 2010, I think. Mortal Kombat 9. Though, depending on which day you ask me, my answer will be one of those two as being my favourite Mortal Kombat games. And that Mortal Kombat 9, I absolutely loved its reinvention, its reboot of the series, and it told the Mortal Kombat trilogy in the space of that game. I love some of the new directions they went with some of the characters, like Cyborg Sub-Zero. And yeah, I loved the art. So I loved the bright, vibrant color and natures of the characters. I liked that they were, not so damn realistic. And I think that's part of my problem with Mortal Kombat XL and Mortal Kombat 11. I really don't like this overly realistic design of them, and I know I'm going to be in the minority with it. And yes, I'm aware that the first 3 Mortal Kombat games use digitized actors, so that kind of seems fitting now that the games go for this hyper-realistic phase, hyper-realistic look for their characters, because they were actually digitized actors in the original trilogy. But they look bland and boring. Everyone looks boring. They all actually look like people cosplaying as the actual characters. Like yes, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, both their looks in Mortal Kombat XL and in 11 look like someone is cosplaying as Spider-Man, Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And and I don't like the fact that, you have to, you see them in these outfits and you have to account for every strand and thread that is in these outfits. That's how nuts the detail is on them. They have to really drive home the believability that they're actual real people in these outfits that are real. I hate that. I hate it. They look bland and boring. And Mortal Kombat 1, from what I've seen of it, doesn't go away from that same thing. And that's also another thing that I find frustrating with that overly realistic look, is the characters don't look like themselves from the previous game. Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 11 doesn't really look like the same guy from Mortal Kombat XL. Johnny Cage certainly doesn't in 11 didn't look like the guy in XL to me. It looked like a totally different character, absolutely different. And I think that's the problem with going hyper realistic. Unless you're using the same character model, you run that risk of them just looking like totally different people. But that's just one gripe with Mortal Kombat 11 and by extension XL. Another gripe I have with them is they're really bloody grindy, painfully grindy. Like, we've been enjoying the crypt in Mortal Kombat games since number 5, Deadly Alliance. And for those who are unaware, the crypt is the unlock section. It's basically this massive, sort of almost its own game mode, where it's this massive room where there's all these chests that you unlock for the different currencies you earn in the game. And it's evolved in different ways throughout the games as it's been going on. Like, we're up to the 12th game in this main series now, and the crypt's been a part of Mortal Kombat since Mortal Kombat 5. And it's evolved and changed every now and then. But the setting for the crypt is, in 11 is Shang Tsung's island. And I love that. I love that it was, that the crypt is this sort of like it's an adventure game all on its own. And it's set on Shang Tsung's island, and it was interactive to a few points in it. It was interactive. It was like its own game mode. But the problem I have with it is there's too much fucking content in it. And content, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean, the crypt has always held things like, sometimes additional characters in other games. It's also got alternate, skins for characters. It unlocks, Mortal Kombat 11's iteration of it allows you to unlock additional fatalities, babalities, cosmetics for your characters, because, you can customize your look of the fighters and do your own special versions of those fighters, custom their abilities and stuff, which is a cool feature I like. But there's just an abundance of shit there too. Like, the amount of chests that give you actual content that you can utilize, like skins or fatalities or like character skins or weapon skins, augments even. But more specifically, the fatalities, the actual content, the gameplay content, it's very few and far between compared to the insurmountable amount of fucking concept art and stupid consumables that come out of these fucking chests. I don't know how many chests are in the crypt in Mortal Kombat 11, but it's a fucking lot. And it's just too bloody much. And, like, the crypt is... We're 12 games in now. I don't want to get rid of the crypt, but I feel like we should ditch the fucking concept art, Just get rid of it. It's just bogging down the crypt. I'd rather a much smaller crypt that I can actually fucking unlock as opposed to this thing that I'm slogging my way through. And the game is grindy as fuck. Like, you just constantly play just to get the fucking currencies to unlock the plethora of freaking chests that are in these things, only to guess what? You got some fucking concept art of Kung Lao throwing a hat. Like, yay! Awesome! So itching for that. I'd rather they just stopped with the concept art. Like, if you've never played a Mortal Kombat game before, then you're not really invested in the series to give two shits about the concept art. And if you have played a Mortal Kombat game before, like I have, and you've been then you're likely to have already gone through a crypt before and already seen and been bored by the concept art in that one too. So what the fuck why is it in there? Just get rid of it. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the direction the Mortal Kombat series has taken since 9. It's just I really don't like the designs of the characters. I don't like the hyper realistic look. I don't like the really painfully fucking grindy nature of them. Oh, and the last thing that I hate, I do love these games. Like I love the gameplay, but the last thing I hate, and this is a contentious issue, and I know I'm in the minority for it, I fucking hate the guest characters. They don't fit. Alright? Why can't my Mortal Kombat game just have Mortal Kombat characters in it? And I'm not even arguing about, like some people say, you know, the guest characters take up a slot that could otherwise be given to a returning Mortal Kombat character. I don't even give a shit about that. If there's 25 character slots and 5 of them are guests, I just want the 5 of the guests to fuck off and there just be 20 slots. I'm not saying fill those 5 with someone else from the series. No, I just want the guests to fuck off. They have no place in Mortal Kombat. They have no place. RoboCop doesn't do martial fucking arts. As much as I love him, he doesn't do martial arts. Neither does the fucking Terminator. Neither does the bloody Predator. Or the fucking Alien. Or Jason Voorhees. You know, they don't belong. And I know they're a massive revenue thing because people do love them. I don't know fucking why. But they need to go. They need to piss off. Like, when Mortal Kombat got the DC license and made Mortal Kombat 8, which is the Mortal Kombat versus DC universe, everyone hated it because they toned down the brutality of Mortal Kombat because, you know, you can't see Batman getting his heart bloody ripped out from his chest. I don't know why you can't. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, and then but they still had the license after that game really flopped hard. So what did they do? They took the license and created something new for themselves. They created Injustice 1 and 2. Both good fighting games in their own right. And that was great. They could still do DC and Mortal Kombat, but separately. And that's how it should have been. And that's what they should be fucking doing with these guest characters. If they're such a big revenue fucking gainer, then put them in their own fucking game. Stop crowding my Mortal Kombat game with these characters like fucking bloody Joker, fucking RoboCop, Terminator, Alien, Predator, fucking Freddy Krueger, Kratos, fucking Leatherface. Just get rid of them. I'm sick of them. They don't belong in a Mortal Kombat game. They make no fucking rhyme, sense, or reason why they're in there. So just, if they're so fucking popular and people love them, just put them in their own game. Hey, I would even buy it. Make a freaking 80s action icon. Make it 80s icons fighting game. Chuck in RoboCop, Terminator, and all of them and have it. I'd get that, absolutely. Like, just give me my fucking Mortal Kombat game and make it Mortal Kombat. So anyway, getting way off topic. So yeah, 11 I'm not that big of a fan of. I really wish I could rate it higher, but I have not been happy with the last 2 and presumably 3 because I haven't played the new reinvention of Mortal Kombat again. I haven't played Mortal Kombat 1, so at the moment it's sitting. 11's really sitting at the back of B. It's just lucky it's not in C right now. So anyway, moving on. So on to Spider-Man 2, The Sinister Six for Game Boy Color. So you guys can actually see my playthrough of this on the channel. I had a little bit of a play with this while just chatting to my friend Jamie. We're talking all things sort of Spider-Man and about sharing our fandom, which we've done ever since we've known each other and will continue to do so for as long as we know each other. Is one of our joys. We both have different things that we like and love about Spidey, but nothing can be disputed that we both fucking love Spider-Man. And so it was a fun joy to play this game. You know, if I had this game back when I would have absolutely loved this game back when I had a Game Boy Color. I would have absolutely loved this game. And it, yeah, it was just a really good, fun, side-scrolling, pardon the pun, 2D platformer of Spider-Man. And I loved, like, yeah, the Game Boy Color colors, and just some of the things I really liked, the attention to detail. Like as I point out in my video, it's the only I've played a lot of Spider-Man games. It's the only one I've ever played where Spider-Man actually can crawl under a vehicle, but on the vehicle. You know, like he's not just crawling on the ground underneath the vehicle. He's actually crawling on the belly of the vehicle. I've never seen that in a Spider-Man game before. And to do it so seamlessly in this one was actually quite surprising and fun. It was really good. I was playing it on the harder difficulty too. I'm looking forward to playing this game on an easier difficulty, just normal, and getting through it that way. I know Jamie's going to give me hell if I play it on an easier difficulty and beat it. But yeah, it was a fun game. It's one of the sort of sequels or spin-offs to my favourite Spider-Man game of all time. Spider-Man on PC came out in 2000 or 99. But yeah, it was a good game. It's definitely sitting in B. Definitely sitting in B. So on to Super Mario Galaxy. So yeah, me and this particular plumber have issues, to say the least. Me and this plumber have issues. I have a love-hate relationship with Mario games. I love the idea of the Mario games, that I have a nostalgic sort of attached to Mario games, because whenever I went to visit my cousins who had, as a real young kid, whenever I went to visit my cousins who had a Nintendo, they had Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3. So I got to play those and really enjoy those. Didn't get very far in them. I love Mario games. I love the idea of them. I do enjoy them, but I really hate the freaking difficulty behind these games. They can be so bloody frustrating and hard at times, particularly with the 3D games and camera angles. They're difficult. Super Mario Galaxy was fun yet painful to play. As you'd expect, being a Wii title, it was bound to the fucking motion controls of the Wii. A game that has no business being bound to motion controls. So, like, I can understand Nintendo want to go heavy-handed into their motion controls, but do it when it makes sense, when it's going to enhance the game, not hinder it. You know, games like Wii Sports, fantastic, born for motion controls. You know, being able to golf and actually swing properly, really swing instead of just hitting a control button, so much better. Yeah, but for a 3D Mario platformer, no. Just fuck right off with your motion controls. And that's what made this game so damn effing hard, the motion controls. It was not an easy game, and just the motion controls just made a difficult game much harder. But it was a solid game. I did enjoy it. It was I did enjoy it. It was fun, but yeah, really fucking hated the motion controls. So yeah, I'm gonna sit this game. It's set definitely in the B section. Well, we've got a lot of B's in there, don't we? Did I like it more than Spider-Man 2? Nah, Mario's going to the back of the pack. It's going to the back of the pack. You know, I think I did like Mortal Kombat 11 a bit more than Haze, so I'll just move that a bit there. So, yeah. So moving on. So, yeah. Mario and I have issues. So moving on. So let's check out. So Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, this is interesting. So I got, right before I dived into Spider-Man 2, I actually hadn't played Miles Morales. So I did so. I made a point that I wanted to play through Miles Morales before I jumped into Spider-Man 2. As much as I know pretty much nothing about Miles other than what I got from the first Marvel Sony Spider-Man game. And I'm sure that's not accurate to the character in the comic books anyway. But yeah, other than that, I just wasn't intrigued by the character. Just, he didn't do anything for me. Nothing wrong with him. He's awesome. But yeah, just, he's not Peter. So, and I wasn't really engaged in Miles' story in any way. But anyway, so yeah, I was struggling to pass on it. Wanting to pass on and just jump into Spider-Man 2, but I forced myself to play Miles Morales, and I'm so glad I did. It was a good game. I can see why a lot of people sort of felt that it's just a DLC, and it should have been such, but it's a big DLC. It was like, I didn't feel like ripped off that it was a standalone game. Yeah, they could have just made it another DLC. Like it was originally intended. But so Spider-Man Miles Morales, just to compare it to Spider-Man 2, for instance, Spider-Man 2 is like one of those superhero shows, TV shows, where that's, it's like a new bad guy every week. The season has an overarching story, but you can afford to, there's just there's a different thing going on each week, and you can afford to miss a couple of episodes and you're not really going to be out of touch with what's going on in the story. That's Spider-Man 2. That is Spider-Man 2. There's a lot of things going on there. There's an overarching story, but there's all this other stuff to get distracted with, and that. Miles Morales, though, reminds me of shows like Netflix's Daredevil, where there wasn't a monster of the week, so to speak, or bad guy of the week. It told a single story, not multiple stories like Spider-Man 2 does. Daredevil told one single story, and it told it well, and it didn't go outside of that story. It focused on the story, and for that, I had a much more enriching experience watching that show as opposed to a show that's like the other, like Smallville, for example, where it was a bad guy a week, overarching story for the whole season, but you can miss episodes and still be caught up. Daredevil, you couldn't miss an episode, otherwise you wouldn't know where your head's at. And yeah, that's a bit of the comparison between the two. Spider-Man 2 throws a lot of stuff at you, a lot of side quests and stuff, with an overarching story. But Miles just really focused on the one thing, and the story really. There was other stuff to sort of go out there and see, but it just was sort of felt more tied and cohesive to the main story than what Spider-Man 2's side stuff did. So as if I was to purely rate the two on quality I think Miles Morales would come out on top. Like if you want a single sort of story, a more cohesive game that just tells the story it's telling and it does it really well, then yeah, I'd say Miles it beats out Spider-Man 2. Even though I enjoyed the story in Spider-Man 2 more, and but there's just so much filler content in there that it's just, it could have done without, and I would have been happy. Or you could have just done better with that stuff. They could have just done better with it. So I enjoyed Miles. So I'm putting it in A, because I did enjoy it. And it goes behind Spider-Man 2 purely because I don't mind Miles, but he's not Pete. And I love Pete's story. I love Pete's villains, even though Miles' villains are basically Peter's in Miles Morales. Which is one thing I was actually disappointed about. Every one of those villains that you sort of encounter, well, as far as I'm aware anyway, every one of those villains that you encounter in his game are actually original OG Spider-Man's villains, and I would have liked to have seen some more of his own. Um, so yeah, so I'm popping at 8. Okay. So okay, on to Terminator Resistance. Now, okay, I'm just gonna straight out tell you where I'm putting this and why. It's going in S. Now, the reason Terminator Resistance is going S is hands down, and it's not saying much, but it is the best Terminator game I have ever played. I've played a fair few Terminator games. Vast majority of them are rubbish that you best avoid. But this one does a fantastic job of capturing the first two films, and the only two films worth acknowledging. So this is a single player only game, and it has a story that is interwoven, and its story is interwoven into the future scenes of the Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the films. And that's where this game takes place. It's in the future war preceding those two movies. And its story just fits so damn well. And the gameplay is solid. It's not riveting. It's not anything that you couldn't experience back in 2005 or 2010. It's nothing like that you couldn't have experienced back then. But it mustn't have had a big budget, but it did so fucking well with its budget. It's just a freaking awesome game. It really captures those movies, the future war of those movies. It's got like RPG elements where you get experience points and you level up your character. You unlock sort of skills that allow you to use alternate weapons or navigate terrain in different ways, like lockpicking, for example. It does a great job of conveying just how freaking terrifying just a single Terminator can be. The first time you encounter a T-800 in that game, you're just gonna, it's brown trousers time. It was so atmospheric. Good, and yeah, I love atmospheric games, and it was just an amazing game. I got it just because I didn't even hear anything about it when I bought. I saw it on sale. Thought, this looks kind of cool. A first person shooter Terminator game. I can jump in on that for cheap. And I've gladly thrown more money at it. I got it on a sale, but it was such an awesome game, and it came out with a free alternate game mode where you actually play as a Terminator and you're hunting resistance people. And then it came out with an expansion that sort of follows Kyle Reese from the first Terminator film. I just really wish they could have got Michael Biehn to voice him, the original actor, to voice Kyle. That was really sort of missing, and a bit more of the likeness. But anyway, Terminator Resistance. If you're a Terminator fan and you like playing video games, and even if you're not a fan of first-person shooters, give it a go, because, if you really love the movies, play this game. It's freaking fantastic. I can't sing enough praise about it. The only thing I really wish it had was a multiplayer mode. I'd love to have a game mode where you can pick between being a Resistance member or being a Skynet Terminator, and just warring with the other side on this big map with the music going. To actually have a multiplayer mode, or a co-op mode would have been cool through the story. No reason they sort of couldn't make that happen, but a multiplayer mode would have been, a competitive multiplayer mode would have been just the bee's knees with it. Fantastic game. Get on it. So that brings us to I got a trio of Mario games coming up. Okay, so Super Mario Odyssey. Now, Super Mario Odyssey was interesting. I have to say, I generally like a Mario game, but Odyssey I was less than thrilled to jump in on. I remember seeing the trailer and absolutely hating what I looked at, because all I saw was Mario. Well, all I mostly saw was Mario in New York City, just this bland grey building, concrete jungle. Just and it's like, no, Mario belongs in the Mushroom Kingdom. Bright, vibrant, colourful, wacky characters, not just boring humans in New York City. So I didn't want to try it when I first saw it. I had no interest in it. It wasn't until years later that I actually got to play it with my fiance, and she loves it. She absolutely loves it, and I did enjoy Odyssey. We had fun with it. I did really like the sort of open world design of the levels. Are big sort of open spaces. And I liked that you could progress through the story by just getting stars. Like there wasn't, most of the 3D Marios give you 100. There's 120 stars to collect, and this one there's like 999 to get that you can get in this game, and that is excessive and way too many. And I didn't like that aspect of it, but I liked that. The story was held back by, you needed to collect like 20 stars or 10 or 20 stars. And so you could get them from anywhere, just as long as you had them. You could then, from within the level, from when you went to a new world, you had to get X amount of stars to progress the story. And you could get them from any means that you could in that. It wasn't just the select few that you had to get, and if you couldn't beat that specific thing, you were just stuck. So I did really like that aspect of it, but just I'm a bit of a completionist, and I try to do everything, and yeah, it was some of the levels were just really unforgiving, and I just couldn't get past, frustratingly so. So yeah, but it I actually really didn't like the settings of it. All the settings are sort of more real world, grounded in reality, and I just didn't like that. It was I would have much rather the world spread across the Mushroom Kingdom as opposed to sort of the real world. So yeah, Mario Odyssey did play better than Galaxy because I wasn't as shoehorned into motion controls like I was with Galaxy, but yeah. So yeah, sitting at B. So this brings us on to Super Mario Galaxy 2. So Galaxy 1 had an absence of Yoshi, and Galaxy 2 had Yoshi. So I thought this would have been a slam dunk that Galaxy 2 was definitely better than Galaxy 1, purely because it adds more Yoshi. But actually, in fact, it's very much the same as Galaxy 1, but they spent more time with establishing a story in Galaxy 1, and I really appreciated that more. Galaxy 2 actually really just felt like a DLC to Galaxy 1. Because there was pretty much no story to it whatsoever by comparison. And it was just like, here's a shitload of levels, and now you can use Yoshi. And here's a couple new abilities you can have. But yeah, it just really felt like they just gave us a DLC to Galaxy 1. And so for that reason, yeah, I'm popping Super Mario Galaxy 2 behind Super Mario Galaxy. So I'm going to rejig these at the end and go through them, just so you know. So, because, yeah, I think some of my feelings on some might have changed a little bit. But anyway, moving on. So, Super Mario Wonder. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. The latest entry in the Super Mario Brothers world. So, it's interesting to watch me and my fiance Sylvie view Mario games. So when we both watched the trailer to Super Mario Brothers Wonder when it was coming out, before it came out, and found out it was coming. When she saw the trailer, she got super giddy with excitement and anticipation and just marvel at how sort of gorgeous it looked, and triggering the wonder seeds was just a great thing. Oh, by the way, I should preface that me and Sylvie actually play through all of the Mario games that we play together. We hot seat it usually. Yeah, even though there is a co-op mode to Odyssey, Galaxy 1 and 2, it's not a co-op mode. Nintendo keep insisting on saying it's a cooperative play mode. It's not. It's really a support mode. Player 2 is there to support Player 1. Player 1's playing the game. And I just want to preface that because we've been playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder together as separate characters for once. Like she's playing Mario and I'm playing Luigi. I'm not playing Mario's hat or Mario's fucking star buddy. I'm playing as Luigi, Mario's brother, the better brother though. So yeah, we've been playing Wonder, and anyway, so back to my story about the trailer. When we watched the trailer, she got giddy with excitement and anticipation. I frickin' was groaning with dismay in my head. I was looking at the trailer and thinking, this is going to be a big pain in my ass. I was like, I know she's going to want to play this and get it, and we're going to play it, and we're going to play through it together, and I'm going to be swearing my ass off. And I have not been wrong in that. We've been playing, we still are playing it, we're co-oping it. But each of our plays of it is tense. Each of our plays is tense. It's tense because I get frustrated with the game and she gets frustrated with me because you both have separate characters and you're both on the screen. But the most frustrating thing about Mario games is the camera is only following one person. I don't know why Nintendo aren't split screening this, because unless you due to the hectic nature of how the 2D side-scrolling Mario games play, or the 3D ones for that matter as well, but when you're co-oping the 2D side-scrolling ones, so where you both have two characters on screen, unless you share the same brain, you're synced up, you're not going to be doing the exact same thing at the exact same fucking time. So when the camera's following one, the other person gets shafted really fucking quickly. They either, if you're not keeping up exactly with the player that the camera's following, you'll get squashed against the screen, you'll drop off, you won't see where you've gone, and the camera won't turn towards you so you can see where you are. You just die and you come back as a ghost and have to tag the first player. It's infuriating. Really what they need to do, and I can't believe it's fucking 2023 and they still haven't done it even after they've got a fair few side-scrolling two-player Mario games under their belt. Fucking split screen it for people. If they're on the screen at once, make it one screen, like what the Lego games do. If they're on the screen together, in the same spot, join the screens. But as soon as they deviate too far from each other, split them so that one player isn't totally fucking hindered by the other. But anyway, so it brings out a lot of frustration in us, and so like when the camera follows me, Sylvie can't keep up with me sometimes, and when it follows her, I'm getting squashed and flattened or can't keep up with her. So but I am enjoying Wonder more than I did Odyssey or either of the Galaxies, so it's sitting there at B. And that being said, I actually feel like I'm quite comfortable with dropping Odyssey and Galaxy 1 and 2 down a notch, because I actually am enjoying Wonder more than I did enjoy those. Particularly the fact that we can actually co-op it better, more efficiently, but would like some camera separation, split screen. Okay, oh, let's bring out. Okay, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, so this one is so even though Mortal Kombat was my very first video game series and one I love so much, Zelda is my favorite video game series of all time, without a doubt. It's the only game series that I actually want to collect every single entry for, and play through every single entry from start to finish. It's one of the games that when it comes out, I'm like, I have to get this on release. Yeah, and Tears of the Kingdom. So I actually was not a fan of Breath of the Wild. It's one of Jamie's all-time favourite games, but for myself, it was too far removed from the rest of the Zelda formula. Now, don't get me wrong, the Zelda formula, as it was in Skyward Sword, the last main 3D, main console entry, it was clear it was in obvious need of some rejuvenation. Link being able to only jump when he was running completely front onto an edge, like not at an angle but parallel to it. Yeah, it was painful, and it seriously needs some new life breathed into it, pardon the pun. But Breath of the Wild went too far with it for me, and it took some of the standard Zelda tropes that didn't have anything wrong with them, such as, to give you an example, I love cutting grass and being able to get rupees, bombs, arrows, and magic from the grass. I love hearing the Hyrule theme music booming whilst I'm running across Hyrule Field. I love being able to save 3 games on my fucking account. Something simple like that. Like I usually have, when I play most Zelda games, I usually have my main adventure that I've done and completed and tried to collect everything in, and then when I feel like replaying the game for just a little bit, maybe not the whole way through, I'll start a new one, but I won't get rid of my old one. But yeah, couldn't do this. There's a big fuck you to Scott. With there's only one of you, so you can only play this game fucking once. You can only have one profile. I hate that. And among so many other things, I hate the weapon fragility in this game, because let's face it, none of them are durable, not even the Master Sword. I hated Breath of the Wild. I absolutely hated so much about it. Tears of the Kingdom was a great improvement for me, personally. It added more game to it. Like, Breath of the Wild was full of locations that were referenced to things from previous Zelda games. But once you get the reference, it's like, oh yeah, oh that's cool, I know that thing, it's from this game. And then that's it. There's nothing to do there. There's nothing to explore there. Once you get the reference, it's like, oh, haha, cool. And then move on. That's it. And that's all Breath of the Wild was full of. Just that. It did have some awesome moments. Like, for everything I loved about Breath of the Wild, there was always a couple things I absolutely fucking hated. But we're talking about Tears. So Tears added a lot more. It made the game a lot better for me. It added more stuff to do in the game than simply just pick up on the references to past Zeldas. It added too much, though. This game was the first time I've ever felt so completely overwhelmed with. There was too much. There was just too much. And yeah, there was just too much. And so it, like, the map, for me, the map got expanded to 2.5 times the size. I don't say 3 because the Sky Islands don't take up the whole map. It was a much bigger place, but I would have certainly preferred it to be much smaller. I actually would have been happy if the map was 1/3 the size that it was. and they just got rid of the glider. The glider sort of made traversal too easy for me, I think. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it added so much content to it. I didn't really care much for the building things mechanic. I know, Nintendo love their gimmicks. That was a gimmick I could do without. I had a little bit of fun with it, and it got satisfying when I finally built something that really worked. But yeah, it just wasn't a great thing. So, and I sunk a lot of hours into Tears. Did really enjoy it, but yeah, I absolutely, and I'm so glad that Nintendo's recent announcement that they're not doing another sequel to Breath of the Wild, that they're going to do something new. I was ecstatic at that news. I was like thinking, yes, thank you. I didn't want Tears to exist after Breath of the Wild. I know I was the only one that wanted that, but wanted them to do something else then. But yeah, Tears was much better for me, but it still has the same issues I had with Breath of the Wild. Weapon fragility, like too many things that are not Zelda-like. And yeah, so it's going to sit probably at a B for me. Okay, ooh, Splatoon 3. Now, so this was my first video game. So I keep an Instagram journal, of the video games and board games I play. It's called @ScragePlays. And Splatoon 3 was the first video game, I'm pretty sure, that I recorded on that. So I loved Splatoon 2. I thought it was a freaking awesome game on the Switch and played a lot of that. And I really like Splatoon 3. I played it on release. It was super exciting. But it's a really good game, but it's got its sort of issues still. Part of the whole thing about Splatoon 3 is you can play 3-player, like 3 teams versus each other. I don't know, but it's sort of locked behind a seasonal event, or at least last I checked it was. So I don't know why they didn't just make that game mode the case in the first place, but really do enjoy Splatoon. It's a fantastic game, and love it. I'm rubbish at it. I am so I'm so below average at it, and I do get real angry at it when I'm just getting beat to hell. It's got a few flaws with its level design. There are too many chances for you to get pinned down in your base with nothing to do and nowhere to go, and that just sucks and isn't fun for anyone who's on the losing team. So I feel like there's certain things they could have addressed there, but with that. But yeah, I think Splatoon 3 has just been an amazingly fun, quirky game, and it's one of those games where when I'm feeling it, I'll play it just constantly for ages, and it'll be the only thing I play for ages, and then I'll go off of it, which I currently am at the moment, and then at some point, I'll get reinvigorated and want to return, and I'll return in full force and get right back into it, get my skill set up, and then it's been great. Good, love me some Splatoon. So I think I might pop that in S tier, because love me some Splatoon. So brings me to Diablo 4. Now, I was playing Diablo 4 thanks to Jamie. Jamie bought it for me as a present, because he loves his Diablo, as I'm sure you all know. So I haven't got the attachment to Diablo that Jamie and Sam do. It's all right, it's an alright game series. Quite frankly, I think the lore, like I wouldn't be invested in the series anywhere near as much if it wasn't for Jamie. Actually, I owe a lot to him because Jamie's filled me on so much story that's sort of going on in the games that that makes them more of a joy for me to play. Whereas if I was to play them on my own without him sort of filling me in on what's going on, I wouldn't enjoy them half as much. In fact, I wouldn't be playing them. I just wouldn't be playing them. Not that they're bad games gameplay wise or anything. It's just unless I know what's going on, unless I'm invested in the story, just wouldn't be doing it. And it doesn't do sort of. They don't do the best job of filling you in on what's going on. Any of them really. So Diablo 4 is the most recent one, and I was playing that through with Jamie. But we've been chatting away and just having such a good time, just talking to each other. That I've actually missed so much of the story, but I've at least had the benefit of Jamie filling me in on the stuff I have missed. And this one, I am totally intrigued with the story. I love where it's going, and I like what I've seen so far. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm really liking the story. But the gameplay is just I liked the gameplay of Diablo 3 way better. And that very well could be just because it's early days of number 4 still, and Blizzard, Activision, Burger King, McDonald's haven't fixed it up yet. But I really liked the gameplay of 3 much better. And how you made your character. You could just swap abilities in now, and it totally doesn't fuck up how you constructed your character, whereas that does in 4 a bit. So exploration of your character isn't as free. I'm interested in seeing where it goes, but it's not very high on my list. So I think I might just put it over there. But yeah, it's not bad. I'm really liking the story, but that's the only thing that I'm really liking so much now. I do like I do like it, but it's not riveting. It's not blowing my socks off. Okay, on to something that is blowing my socks off. Is Pikmin 4. Now, surprisingly, I fucking love the Pikmin games. So I've only played the main 4 games. I haven't played the mobile game, which is basically just Pikmin Go, like Pokemon Go, and I'm not ever going to fucking touch it. And I haven't played I think the 3DS title, Hey Pikmin. But I've played the 4 main games, and I absolutely love Pikmin games. I think they're amazing. They're really, really fun. They're super cute. It's just got gorgeous visuals. The gameplay is freaking top notch. It does take a bit of getting used to though. It does seriously take a bit of getting used to the controls and how to navigate. But once you've got it, it's great. It's great. I love Pikmin 4. Pikmin 3 I'd probably still say is my favourite. Just because, again, level design's a bit of a thing for me. I found the level design in Pikmin 3 a lot better than in Pikmin 4. And in Pikmin 4 there's a lot of... it's not bad in any way, shape, or form. And I do love the addition of Ochi, your dog-like helper. That was great. But yeah, Pikmin 3 is my fave still. So Pikmin 4, I did love Pikmin 4. I did absolutely love it. Preferred the level design number 3. Oh, and in a weird, interesting... There's a couple of flaws with Pikmin 4. The biggest flaws that I have for it is one that... So Pikmin 3 was originally a Wii U game. And then they, like so many Wii U games, Nintendo ported it over to the Switch because the Switch was a much better console and they're lazy fucks. So they ported Pikmin 3 over to the Switch and opened it up to being cooperative. Because in the original Pikmin 3, even though you could play as 3 characters at once, there was no co-op feature. There was just competitive multiplayer in its own mode. But there was no co-op feature. Pikmin 3 Deluxe on Switch added a co-op feature where you and someone else could play one of the 3 characters in the same level and do your own things. Fucking about time. That was amazing. That alone was the reason to buy it again, and it's the reason why I did buy it again. Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Because I had Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, but I found Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and I bought it for the co-op because it's fantastic, and that's where I felt like the game should go. So that they took a game that was single player and they added a co-op feature to it, and fucking so much better for it. So when Pikmin 4 was being announced, I'm like, oh, no-brainer. This thing's going to be built from the ground up to incorporate co-op. Like, it'd be no-brainer. It's just wasn't even a question of whether or not it would have co-op. It was just, it's going to have co-op because it's just so fucking logical and makes so much sense. But anyway, it didn't. Or well, I should say, it did in the form of the stupid support mode that I dub from Mario Odyssey, Galaxy, and Galaxy 2, where it's really player 1 actually playing the game and being the character, and player 2 is relegated to a support mode for that character. And like, I was absolutely fucking gobsmacked. It didn't have a co-op mode. And it took the wind right out of my sails with Pikmin 4. I didn't look at any reviews for it because I didn't want to. I just wanted to get the game and experience it untainted, unfettered by preconceived bias or perception. And holy fuck did it take the wind out of my sails. It was just such a letdown. Just such a letdown. And it was just, I was looking forward to it. I talked my partner Sylvia up to play it with me because I assumed it's going to have co-op, and it did say co-op on the back, but it's just a stupid support mode, not an actual cooperative play mode. So so I was pissed off at that, and really hated that. And the weird thing is also you get a dog-like companion in the game in the form of Ochi. You get Ochi very early on in the game, incredibly early on, and there are many sections in the game where you use Ochi. You switch to controlling Ochi, where you control Ochi and Pikmin as you would the main character that you're playing. And so why couldn't that have been the fucking co-op mode? Why couldn't you have Nintendo have made Ochi completely controllable by the second player rather than a stupid drone thing that just hovers around player 1? Why couldn't they give the second player complete control of Ochi? So they already had a second character built into this game, and it just perplexed me as to why they didn't do that. It just infuriates me. So I'll sort of end on a positive because I do absolutely love Pikmin 4. But Pikmin 4, one of the things I loved about it is about time that you could create your own character and give them their own cute little look. That was an awesome feature. I hope that returns in future installments, and I hope that just stays in the series, and I hope that the next Pikmin game actually fucking has proper co-op. But Pikmin 4 is, as it fucking should be, up in fucking S tier. Right now it's probably going to sit at number 1 spot. Is as it should be. It was fucking great. This brings me on to next one. So in the last 3 here. So Turok Evolution. So after I had the hankering to play Star Fox Adventures, I wanted a bit more dinosaur action. And the last Turok game I played was when I was in high school playing Turok 2 Seeds of Evil on Nintendo 64. I played that a lot, but I still never beat that game. And it was brutal and hard, and I want to revisit that now in my adulthood. Yeah, and I do want to revisit it. But one game I was always sort of intrigued and always had on my list ever since like 2006. I remember adding it to my wish list to play. I think it came out in 2004 or 5 or something like that. But yeah, 6 is when I added it to my wish list. And that was Turok Evolution on GameCube. So I went and got it and play it. Now, I have to say, I wish I'd had this game back in the day, back when it came out. And it's like, it was a decent game. And I'm sort of judging it for its time, not... I try to judge every game for the time in which it came out, really. Turok Evolution, it was a weird story, like a weird sort of mix of, combination of Native Americans and dinosaurs and science fiction. It's wild. It's been fun playing this game and having to deal with fighting dinosaurs, surviving dinosaurs, as well as shooting freaking space aliens. So it's been fun and good. But so I can't remember how many chapters this game has. It's got I think it's got like 15 chapters or something to it. But each of those chapters is broken up into numerous levels. And I remember looking it up at one point that this game, Turok Evolution, actually has something like 60 plus levels. And it is if you're... sort of reminds me a little bit of one of my favourite first-person shooters of all time, Doom 3. So when I play Doom 3, because Doom 3 is a long game, when I play Doom 3, I love every minute of it, right the way through, from the start of the game right to the very end and through the expansion. I love every minute of that story. And it's a long game. And in some regards, for me, it's not fucking long enough. I absolutely love it and love the amount of Doom 3 that I get when I play it, but really wish I had more Doom 3. But I can see for someone who's not a Doom 3 fan that how much that game could be a slog with how long it is. If you didn't like Doom 3, the gameplay or atmospheric nature of slow pace atmospheric nature of Doom 3, then playing through that entire thing might be a pretty big slog. I felt similar with Turok Evolution. I'm not huge into Turok. I don't remember barely remember anything from Turok 2 Seeds of Evil when I played that in the 64 all those long time ago, all those years ago. But Evolution I was playing and enjoying, and there's some really freaking fun levels in there, and my weapon of choice is the bow, because let's face it, that's the thing you should be using. But wow, it feels really bloody long. And I'm just sort of thinking, like, for a fan of Turok, or Turok Evolution specifically, that game might feel like it's too short. Similar to how Doom 3 feels too short for me. But for me, who's not a fan of Turok Evolution, wow, this game has fucking outstayed its welcome with how bloody long it is. I still haven't finished it yet. I don't think I'm terribly far from the end, but I still haven't finished it yet, and I will go back to it and pick up where I left off, but yeah, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through it, but man, it's definitely outstayed its welcome. But I have enjoyed it. It's been fun. So yeah, I think it's gonna possibly sit at, have I enjoyed it more than Wonder? Oh, I'll figure that out in a minute. But yeah, it's probably going to sit in B. I have enjoyed it. It's a bit clunky. It's a bit challenging to play, but yeah, that's yeah, Turok Evolution. On to Titan Quest. So Titan Quest. So again, being a big fan of Greek mythology, I went looking for games recently based on Greek mythology, and I'd done it before and never even discovered Titan Quest. But this time when I did it, I don't know if I Google searched right or something, but yeah, I found it, and I was fucking gobsmacked that I hadn't found it before. And I would have fucking loved this back in the day. So I played it. I hadn't finished it. I'm nowhere near finished. I'm still in like the first freaking, I think, act of the bloody game. So it's just I don't get as much time to sort of get to play it as what I'd like. But I'm enjoying it. It's hard. It's quite difficult and challenging, but I've been enjoying it. And you know, coming across certain things in the game, like I got really excited. So, the Odyssey by Homer is one of my favorite Greek mythological stories, and the Cyclops from that, Polyphemus. I got real excited to see him in the game, and he gave me a pounding, but I did eventually beat him by cheesing him or kiting him. So yeah, it's a difficult game. I do really like it and do want to play more. Will play more of it, but yeah, it's a fun game. But I'm glad I've got it and glad I've played it. It's very Diablo-esque, but to me this is way better than Diablo, especially Diablo 4 anyway. Even though it's, you know, sort of dated, but I was excited to find that Titan Quest 2's coming. So I'm hoping to finish this before number 2 comes out, and I'm so in there on 2 when it comes out, because I really had a blast with what I have played of this one, and yeah, so it's definitely going in to A. Okay, yeah. Brings us on to my final game for the year. Not the final game that I've played this year, but the final one of this list, and that is good old Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. So for those of you probably aware, I've been playing Halo Anniversary Edition with Jamie on the channel. We've been having a blast playing this game and getting absolutely reamed, but it's been really fun. I'm so excited. I freaking love the main Halo trilogy and one of the spin-offs. But yeah, it's just a fantastic game, and it's really bloody fun. It really holds up all these years later with the Anniversary Edition, and it's still fun as hell, and damn, that music is good. So Halo, check us out on the channel. Yeah, it's been an awesome game. So it's definitely going right up here. It's going right up here. It's probably going to be sitting at number 1. So that's the tier. So let's have a little rejigger of this, because, you know, sometimes my feelings of some others have changed or gotten a bit better. So you know what, like Hades. Sorry Hades, but I'm just gonna drop you down a bit. Yeah, Hades. I'm just gonna drop you down a bit. Let's see, Neo, you're going to go into B. You know, you're going to go into B. Not too far from B. But, yeah, I have been enjoying it, but it's not yeah, it's not really hitting the spot that Neo 1 did. Neo 1 certainly hit it a lot more harder. So let's see. I think yeah, Mortal Kombat 11. I did definitely enjoy a bit more the Star Fox Adventures. Yeah, Turok Evolution would be close. Let's see, and yeah, so I think that's, you know, not going to get it perfect, but I think that sort of sums up my feelings a bit more. Yeah, no, I might pop Spelunky. I had more fun with Hades than I did with Spelunky, but yeah. And yeah, so yeah, well, that's pretty much my list, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me and just listen to my monotone voice, just rambling away, talking about utter nonsense. But no, it's been fun to try and do this list. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. Some of these games I could talk about in just way more detail, but you know, I don't want to go. I don't. You know, who wants to sit through a 2 hour and 40-minute video of this stuff? So, you know, yeah, just yeah. So, thank you if you're still listening or still watching. Thank you very much for joining me through this. It's been great, and I'll see you guys around. Keep on side scrolling. Bye.